True or false, Kira? If you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's plan.
Ooh, that is true.
True.
Welcome back to Breaking the Burnout Cycle. We're here with another episode, and today we are going to be talking about your North Star.
You.
Specifically you.
We're looking at you.
We're talking to you.
I'm looking at you and I'm talking to you.
And how you can find...
Look at your man, now back to me, now back at your man. Sadly, he isn't.
me. But he could smell like me.
If you stopped using ladies, old blah, 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 and switched to Old Spice. Fantastic commercial, by the way.
Yeah. Can you tell how Oscar's brain works?
They had a North Star, and we want to give you your North Star.
Today we're going to be talking about your North Star and finding purpose in chaos, aka society. I'm Kira.
I'm Oscar.
And together we are the 𝐉𝐸𝐺𝐸.
We're getting more and more sense of this.
We're kind of getting there with it. Sometimes we hit it, sometimes we don't. Anyway, 3 key points for today is going to be, uno, defining your North Star, defining your purpose. You give it sign language credit. Yeah. 2, why purpose can be hard to find, this elusive purpose. And 3, steps to discover and live your purpose. So let's just dive right on in.
Amazing. So first of all,
I was talking though.
I'm fumbling in the dark. Naked and afraid.
Not too loud.
No, I'm not naked and I'm not afraid. But I'm in the dark and I don't know what my purpose is. I don't have a North Star. How do I find it? How do I define it?
Well,
how do I refine it?
How you find it is the 3rd point.
Yeah, cool.
So, for the first point, defining your North Star, let's talk about why it's important.
Yes.
Why is it important to have a North Star, Oscario?
I would say, just as we started the podcast with, if you don't have a plan, you will become part of somebody else's plan. So we are only here for a very short time, and there might be loads of things you want to do, loads of things you want to act on and create and be part of. That will be your North Star. If you don't have that clear, you'll be fumbling in the dark, you'll be going off the track, and you will find yourself in situations that you might not have wanted to find yourself in because you weren't clear from the beginning. You become
where you're actually going.
You become part of somebody else's plan, and you are the literal main character of your life. So that's a responsibility, but that's also a huge gift.
Yes, absolutely. For me, I quite like the analogy. If you think of, setting out on a journey, a road trip, and you've got your Google Maps or your TomTom sat-nav, if you don't have any postcode or direction or address to put into the sat-nav, you can't possibly be shown the pathways to get there. And I think it's very similar. Until you have a vision of what it is you're working towards, you can't figure out the most powerful pathways to get there. What that means in daily life is, if you don't have that clear direction, you're just testing things out for the sake of testing things out without knowing if they're successful, without having any metric to kind of cross-reference them against, because you don't know where you're going. So I think that sat-nav analogy is a nice one, because you would never expect to be like, oh, well, why am I just driving in circles? Because I didn't put an address into the sat-nav, so obviously there's no way to get there.
Something is coming through here. It feels like the 3 wise men would never have found Jesus without the
North Star.
Oh, Bethlehem.
Nice, I like it. And let's ground this in with a real life example also. So I wanted to share this. Satya Nadella, purpose-driven leadership at Microsoft. So when Satya Nadella became CEO of Microsoft in 2014, he articulated a personal mission, which was to empower others to achieve more. Mm-hmm. Nadella is deeply purpose-driven, shaped by his experience as a parent to a child with special needs. This personal perspective fuels his empathy and commitment to creating inclusive technologies. So I think that's really nice to think about, that bridge as well between the personal and the professional. And when you have that North Star, it acts as a way to align every aspect of your life into one kind of cohesive soup. Because we all love a cohesive soup. Secondly, under Nadella's leadership, Microsoft, the new Civ range.
It's a fantastic company that makes slush.
Sorry, get yourself together, Kira. Under Nadella's leadership, Microsoft shifted its focus from a know-it-all culture to a learn-it-all culture. This transformation inspired trust, collaboration, and innovation within the organization. His purpose-driven approach resulted in a revitalized company culture, doubling Microsoft's market value to over $2 trillion.
Is that what a T?
And that's with a T, a capital T. So takeaway there is, I think Nadella's leadership demonstrates how a personal mission can align with organizational goals, inspiring teams to achieve greater collaboration and innovation. So it doesn't just have to be your personal life where you're exercising this sense of purpose and a guiding direction. It unifies all aspects of life.
Yep.
Brilliant. Should we go into point 2?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Please take us there.
Okay, so point 2 is why purpose is hard to find. Why, in your opinion, Oscar, is purpose hard to find?
I think we're living in a world that are continuously giving us instant gratification. We are a bunch of dopamine junkies, admittedly or still denyingly, but most of us has been there. There is TikTok, there is Instagram, there are apps all over the place.
Alcohol,
cigarettes,
casinos,
chocolates, Netflix, constant stimuli to the brain and to the dopamine center, ding, 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 which makes purpose diffused and hard to access.
And also something that's like, I'll figure that out tomorrow, or at some point in the future, let me just enjoy this immediate gratification that's in front of me.
Exactly. Can I just finish this 200 grams of chocolate, have a ciggy, cast down a glass of red wine and put Netflix on? Who cares about purpose?
Yeah. Sadly enough, that's true.
You might even tell yourself that is your purpose. And
you would be correct.
I'm not here to judge you if that is your path. But not encourage you either.
Just take some kind of neutral stance. I think another reason that purpose can be difficult to find is because there's this kind of misconception that discovering your purpose is this like you lay on a chaise longue smoking a Vogue cigarette somewhere in Paris and it just lands and then that's the rest of your life sorted in that one moment. Or is that just my imagination?
No, I think the path leads to a path that leads to a path that leads to a path.
This is not
You're in a maze.
To get out of the maze, just drink the chocolate. No, but what I mean is I think people think this purpose is like this elusive single moment thing, and actually, in fact, it's more of an unfolding of a series of events in your life, and being able to be present and reflective and understand and kind of glean lessons from each of those life experiences is what gives life purpose and meaning.
I do think, though, that for your purpose to come through, you need to find silence and space.
Yeah.
And it might be worth reiterating, but only when the mind is quiet can the soul speak. And I actually had a teacher that flipped it to me. So he said, "What? So only when the soul is quiet does the mind speak." And
oh, nice.
I think that was pretty fun. But so how do you find that? Well, sit honestly. No phone, no book, no radio, no podcast, no TV, nothing.
I thought you were going to say radiator.
Oh, that too.
Sit in the cold.
Silence. It helps. No. Be cold and alone.
And afraid and naked.
You will find your purpose there. And if not, you will die.
Anyway, see you next episode. So keep... Right. Anyway, key point from me there about Oscar is, seeking to kind of experience purpose and meaning in each day, as opposed to waiting for this one moment or this single envelope, like, oh, that's my purpose, got it. Engage in the things that light you up more of the time, and it will become clear, I think, what you're here to share.
True.
Okay, third point, steps to discover and live your purpose. Oscar?
Well, any insight? We were touching a little bit about that, but I would say, first of all,
alone in the dark.
Take some moments each and every day and just be. Start practicing the art of being and you will see how things start to bubble up inside your mind palace. I like to visualize it as a library, and there's been
As a dungeon.
a dungeon library. Well, there's been a bomb going off.
Bomb.
Books.
It's a bomb.
Bomb.
A bomb.
A bomb. Bomb club. No, but that's another
Stick to the
story.
red thread.
It's been a bomb. It's gone off in there. Like you can see in my mind right now, I'm a little bit distracted, distressed. So there are no books are everywhere. There are no orders to the stuff. But as you sit down, you take 15 minutes every day. You breathe. You cultivate focus. You start cleaning up all of the things that start bubbling up. Cringy moments from the past, regrets, worries about the future. All of that starts to slowly but surely dissipate, dissolve, separate. And what you will be left with is a clear vision of your purpose, of your goal. Undistracted.
So in that then, I was like in the library.
Close your mouth.
Me.
Here's the chocolate and ciggies.
Yes, love that. So pockets of empty space doesn't need to be anything super drastic, but just as we've spoken about in previous episodes, inviting some stillness, inviting some silence, even just for a few minutes at a couple of points during the day, a few deep intentional breaths. Because as you said, when the mind is absolutely full and jam-packed to capacity, remembering bits of information from meetings, dates, schedules, when your schedule itself is absolutely packed to capacity, you're just in firefighting mode, and there's no space for any creative insight or solutions to be realized. In fact, I had a client say this to me the other day, and she was like, you know how you always talk about pockets of empty space? And I was like, yeah. And she was trying to figure something out, and she was going at it on her phone for like an hour, organizing an event. And she was like, oh, I'm fried. Like, let me just get in the bath. Within 10 minutes, she found herself in the bath with a phone again. And she was like, what's the point in this? I could have just been doing this on my bed. Put the phone away. She said, honestly, within 10 minutes, she would just lay there and ideas just started to bum, 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 solutions and answers. She was like, it works. I was like, I know. So yes, I think pockets of empty space. And last from me would be, as I said in the previous point, inviting more meaning into each moment of each day, because there's where purpose is formed, rather than waiting for this one singular moment. The moment is here, you're in it right now. So bring your presence and your awareness there and start to appreciate, what's happening, what your life is, the gift of this life. There's all the purpose and meaning you could ever wish for.
Life is a gift. Thank the giver.
Life is a gift. That's why it's called the present. No, that's the wrong way.
No, that's not even close to the
That's
remote.
not it.
They say when you're in the present, that is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
I don't think that was quite right either, but anyway.
They call it the present because it is a gift. And I whisper.
ASMR. Anyway, let's wrap up for this episode. I hope you found some value. I hope you could follow the red thread with all of our humour tangents.
Yes, we're having fun. We're being the light bulbs in the dark. Who can shine the brightest?
In the dungeon.
In the dungeon library where bombs has gone off.
Purpose bombs.
Go to your dungeon, sit down, clear all of that space, find emptiness, and in that emptiness, see how your North Star start shining bright.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. As always, drop any questions, thoughts, insights below. We would love to see them, read them, and we will see you next time.
Stay blessed by the breath.
Bye.